by just asking the audience to raise up your hand if you are a caregiver of a young person in your home. Okay, we have a little bit of hands on the left side. Do we have young people also in the audience? Okay. Yeah, so I want to pose a question to the adults and the audience. Going back in your memory as a young person, do you ever remember at any point having an idea and then you wanted to share that idea with the public out there, the world out there? But then because you were young, you were not given that opportunity to express your idea. Do we have any people who are able to relate with that kind of an experience? Not being given an opportunity to express your idea as a young person. And if at all you happen to be that person who was probably not given the idea to express yourself, what are some of the memories and what are some of the feelings that come with those memories? So, today, as adults, we have the responsibility of helping the young creative minds to express themselves and eventually become part of the solution to the bigger problem. Creativity, by definition, is the ability to provide possible solutions to common problems in an uncommon way. I'll repeat that. Creativity is the ability to provide possible solutions to common problems in an uncommon way. And creativity mostly is at the center of the young people. I can relate to this phenomenon very well because I grew up in a family where my mother and my father were both teachers, and anyone in the audience can attest to the fact that it's not easy when you have both your parents or your guardians as people who are in the academic circles, because they hold high expectations for you. And therefore, you are going to have the pressure to perform up to their expectations. And so, growing up and going to a school where my mother was teaching, at some point, she became my teacher, my class teacher. I was in her class. And I further developed that pressure in me not to really perform freely or express freely, because when you go home, she's your mother. When you come back to the school environment, she is your teacher. And so that became more of a demand, and it made me not to really come out and start to express myself in ways that other children would really express. Now, going forward, I left primary school and then went into high school or secondary school. During that time, I became more open because now I was able to interact with my peers, and I took up an interest in art and design because art was not a new thing to me. My father was an art teacher, so I related to art very easily, and it helped me to start express myself more through art. And eventually, I began to challenge the norm. So I questioned all the things that were going against my growth in terms of the academic circles. And having taken art, I graduated from high school. And then I went to a college to pursue art further. And today, I am a teacher of art. So, I am able to relate with the young creative minds, having come from that background, where adults do not easily provide the opportunity for the young creative minds to express. Being a teacher and interacting with children from as low as the age of 5 coming up to secondary school level, I have seen some of the attributes that lead the adult not to allow the young creative mind to freely express. And some of these attributes of adulthood are, the first one being the demand for respect. As adults, especially in the circles of Zambia, this part of our Africa, Zambia specifically, we've got cultural expectations over the young ones. The demand for respect. As adults, we tend to feel inferior when the young creative mind presents us with solutions. Remember, we said creativity is the ability to present possible solutions in an unusual manner. So definitely, being an adult, we find ourselves not being comfortable when we are challenged by the young ones with new ideas. And that is hidden in sayings. So we have got sayings such as, youth are the future leaders of tomorrow. But behind that, you find that most of us as adults who are in privileged positions do not create the opportunity for the young ones to have their views or their solutions proposed. Instead, we tell them, you can wait, you are going to grow up, you are going to have an opportunity for you to express, and your time will come, your perfect time will come. This is not your perfect time. Yours is to study right now and just obey your parents, obey whoever is keeping you, and your time will come for you to provide solutions. But in so doing, we are suppressing the solutions to the immediate problems that we have. The second one is that of perfectionism. So as adults, we have developed. We are not born adults. We were children at some point. And then we have eventually come to master certain ways of doing things. But then when we go, especially in the teaching circles, and stand in front of the young ones, we forget that we had to fall time and again and then pick ourselves up and learn. But sometimes we expect the young ones to become perfect. So you are a parent and your child performs slightly below the expected mark, and you just go hard on them, expecting them to get everything perfect, forgetting that actually learning or education is a process. So you have put a label on them to be perfect in all they do. And what that does is that it puts pressure on the young mind not to actually grow step by step. So perfectionism on the part of adults is one of the attributes that hinders the young mind from creatively expressing. The third one, excessive empathy. Excessive empathy is common, especially between the parents. There's a bond between the parents and the creative young minds. So you have entrusted us as teachers to impart this knowledge in the young ones, to groom them, to nurture them until they eventually become responsible adults. But sometimes parents want to have their children not go through the process of hurt in the process of learning. What do I mean? It is necessary. Some pain is necessary for growth. I'll share with you a story about the butterfly and the boy. So one time this boy is walking in the woods and comes across a cocoon. And interestingly, he gets the cocoon from that rotten piece of wood which was hanging and goes with it, puts it in his room and begins to observe what will just happen to the cocoon. And over time, as he observes, one day he sees a small hole in the cocoon. And through that hole is a protrusion of a butterfly. And the butterfly seems to be struggling to push through the small hole so that it can just break through and start the life. So as the butterfly is struggling to push through the hole, the boy is overtaken with emotion and feels for the butterfly. So he reaches for a small scissors and makes a small cut just right on the side of the hole, the cocoon. And the butterfly just wiggles through and falls on the table. Now, to his surprise, he sees this creature with a swelled body, one part, and the other part small, and the wings pegged to the body. So he was touched, because he was thinking if he cuts just right by the side where the butterfly was pushing through, that the butterfly was going to fly. But what he didn't know was that by helping the butterfly in the struggling process of coming out the cocoon, he actually crippled the creature to death. Why? Because for the butterfly to become that beautiful creature that flies in the backyard of your garden, it has to go through that struggling process of just squeezing through the cocoon. And by so doing, when the squeezing is happening, the fluid will be able to flow in all the parts of the wings, and eventually it will spread out and fly. How can I relate that to the creative young mind? The creative young mind, despite going through a painful process, that pain should be necessary for the young mind to go to the next step. So, as teachers, are you planning to do an assessment and you think that my children are going to fail, so you are going to put in some simple questions, then they pass, or you are going to go the malpractice way? Are you going to give the learners the free answer sheets with everything written for them so they can pass freely? Or we are going to allow them to face the exam and actually get the grades that they deserve? If they didn't study, allow them to get the grades as they deserve. The fourth point is that as adults, we are ignorant. Young ones are always excited to share their beliefs. They want to share what they want to try out with the adults. But most of the times, especially as teachers, we tend to ignore the small concerns that the little children might have. So they'll present with you an idea and then you just shoot it down because you think, okay, it's just one of those student issues. I think I've got better problems to do. But I can tell you that the little learner, the little creative young mind standing in front of you and asking you to give your ear, the simple problem, seemingly simple problem that they are presenting to you, or solution that they are presenting to you, is a very serious concern, just like any other concern that any adult can have. So let us not ignore the young mind's possible solutions. Now that we have talked about these attributes that come with adulthood, what shall we do? What should we do as adults? Number one, let us encourage. So you are a parent at home, you have not given an opportunity for the young ones to creatively express or to share with you what they feel should work in a certain area. Provide. I encourage that you provide a lot of opportunities for them to participate in a range of thought-provoking activities, and eventually they will pick up on their strengths by participating in a wide range of activities. Then we should also limit ourselves on a number of distractions that we give to the young ones. The young creative mind should be given an opportunity to try without a lot of instructions and restrictions. As adults, we have the tendency to think that what we know as valuable is what the young ones should pursue. But in so doing, we make the young creative minds not to think of themselves, but to be ignorant of areas in their lives which otherwise they would cultivate. Last but not the least, if the young mind is given an opportunity to creatively express, who knows, the next big solution to our problems is going to come not from the adult, but it's going to come from the young creative mind. And that should give us reason enough as adults to celebrate. So let's go out there and celebrate even the little achievement that the young creative mind presents. Thank you.